So this is the lesson for 9-2. What we're doing today is we are solving for the C side. All right, we're only solving for C. Tomorrow's lesson will be solving for the A side and the B side. What is the C side? Well, the C side is the slanted side of the triangle. All right, the C side is the slanted side of the triangle. So when we take a look at that, all right, when we take a look at that, your A side and your B side does not matter. Your C side is the slanted side of the triangle. This is the case as well tomorrow. All right, your C side is your slanted side of the triangle. It is always the slanted side of the triangle. Whether your triangle is written upside down or written how it is right here, it's always across from the right angle symbol. All right, it's always across from that right angle symbol. So that's one way to pick it out. So again, it doesn't matter what side is your A side, what side is your B side, but the C side is the slanted side. This side is called the hypotenuse. You've probably never heard that word before. All right, this side is called the hypotenuse. The A and the B side are called the legs. This is going to become very, very important once we get into section 9-4, because you're going to have word problems where they will tell you what the legs are or what the hypotenuse is, and you're going to solve for the missing side. You're still in every single problem today. Every single problem in this chapter, you're going to use A squared plus B squared equals C squared. On these questions, you're going to round your answer to the nearest tenth if necessary. Some of them come out to be nice, neat numbers. Other ones will be a big, long, ugly decimal that you'll have to round to the nearest tenth. So let's take a look at this one. We have 12x and 9. Again, always pick out the A side, B side, and C side first. This side is your C side. It doesn't matter which one you pick for A or which one you pick for B, but the C side is the slanted side. Again, you're going to use the formula A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Just like yesterday, we're going to sub in what we know. Instead of A, I know that my A side is 12. Instead of B, I know that my B side is 9. Instead of C, I know that my C side is X. So we sub in what we know. Now, just like yesterday, what we're going to do is we're going to type this part right into the calculator. 12 squared plus 9 squared. Remember, this is not times 2. You either have to do 12 and then the x squared button, 12 and then caret button 2. Depending on what calculator you're looking at, you might have a y to the x button or an x to the y button. So you might type in something like that, plus 9 squared. When you do that, you get 225 equals x squared. This is the new step for today. All right, the new step for today, we don't want to know what x squared is. We want to know what x is. The opposite of squaring a number is to take the square root of a number. The square root is the little check mark deal. All right, that is the square root symbol. So we want to take the square root, take the square root. So again, how you're going to type this into the calculator, into these school calculators, you're going to hit the second button, then the x squared button, which is really the square root symbol, 225, and hit equals. That's how you're typing it into the calculator. So again, the opposite of squaring a number is to take the square root. So we want to know what number times the same number equals 225. Well, that is 15. So x equals 15. Because 15 times 15 is 225. This is literally how you're going to do every single problem today. Take a look at the next one. So again, the first thing we want to do is we want to pick out our A side, our B side, and our C side. All that we're doing today is solving for the C side. So yes, the X is again your C side, because that's the only thing that we're doing today. Tomorrow we'll be solving for A and B. On Thursday and Friday, you'll have a mixture of everything. Does not matter what you pick for A or what you pick for B. Again, you're going to sub it into that formula. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. We want to sub in what we know. So instead of A squared, we have 15 squared. Instead of B squared, we have 8 squared. Instead of C squared, we have X squared. So we subbed in what we know. The next step is to type this part into the calculator. 15 squared plus 8 squared. 15 squared plus 8 squared is 289. Bring down your equal sign, bring down your x squared. We don't want to know what x squared is, we want to know what x is. So the opposite of squaring a number is to take the square root of a number. So again, we want to hit second x squared, which is really the square root symbol. You'll see that pop up on your calculator. 289 and hit equals. The square root of 289 is 17. So x equals 17. Questions so far? Let's take a look at the next one. Now, again, they will try and trick you by putting the triangle all sorts of different ways. You see that this triangle is basically upside down. Your C side is the slanted side. So that is the X side. It does not matter what you pick for A or what you pick for B. We're going to sub those numbers into the formula. Instead of A squared, I'm going to have 9 squared. Instead of B squared, I'm going to have 13 squared. Instead of C squared, I'm going to have X squared. Type this part into the calculator. 9 squared plus 13 squared. We get 250. We don't want x squared, we want x. So the last part is to take the square root and take the square root. Now, when you do the square root of 250 this time, you're going to get a big, long, ugly decimal answer. You're going to get 15.81138883 on your calculator. We want to round to the nearest tenth. The 8 is in the tenths place, so you need to look at the number after it. That number after it is 4 or lower, so this 8 stays the same. So our final answer is 15.8. About half of your questions on today's homework, you will have to round to the nearest tenth. Flip the paper over. Let's take a look at the next one. So again, our triangle is upside down. It's sort of facing the other way as the last one, but the slanted side is your C side. It's the side that is not contained in the right angle. It's the side that's across from the right angle. Doesn't matter what you pick for A or what you pick for B. We're going to sub these numbers into the formula. Instead of A squared, I have 15 squared. Instead of B squared, I have 36 squared. The C side is our X today. Just like yesterday, we're going to type this part right into the calculator. 15 squared plus 36 squared. That gives you 1,521 equals X squared. The last part of this, we don't want the square of it, we want the square root of it because we want X all by itself. So you're going to do the square root of 1,521, and that equals 39, exactly. Go ahead and try the next one on your own, please. Go ahead and try this one on your own, please. If you need help, let me know. Your C side is your slanted side, which is the X in this case. Tomorrow, the C side will not be the X because we're going to be solving for A and B tomorrow. A and B, it doesn't matter which one you pick for which. Sub them into the formula, 45 squared plus 28 squared equals X squared. Type this part into the calculator. 45 squared plus 28 squared gives you 2,809 equals X squared. The last part is to take the square root, take the square root. Square root of 2,809 is 53. Questions on this one? Why don't you skip the next one, go to the last one, please. Go ahead and try this last one on your own. This one you will need to round to the nearest tenth. It will not be a perfect, nice, neat number. You'll have to round it to the nearest tenth. Go ahead and try this one, please. So the X is your C side because that's your slanted side of your triangle. Doesn't matter which one you pick for A or which one you pick for B. We're going to have 8 squared plus 24 squared equals X squared. Take and type this into the calculator. You get 640 equals X squared. The last part is square root, square root. You get a big, long, ugly decimal, 25.298222128 on your calculator. We want to round it to the nearest tenth. The 2 is in the tenths place. We need to look at the number that's after it. That number after it is 5 or higher. So that means this 2 rounds up to be a 3. So our final answer is 25.3.